All right, good morning, traders. It's October 3rd, 2025. Hey, my name is John Carignan. I am the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. That is the day trading service for the hit and run candlesticks family. Thank you, everybody out there in podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for liking, following, subscribing to my content. Really appreciate that. I'm going to give a special shout out to John Jordan, Bob Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted for sharing the content, helping get the good word out there to the rest of the world so they can benefit as well. Appreciate that. Love that. Okay. Love the kind comments. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. All right, let's take a look at what's going on this morning. Special announcement here. Okay, we got an open house on October 6th. That's Monday, 8 to 4. You can take your smartphone, scan this QR code. You'll get a little pop-up. Press the pop-up. That'll open up a browser window with a registration page in it, okay? It is free to attend. All you need to do is register, okay? So you can scan that with your smartphone. I will leave a link in the description of the video, all right? So Monday, all right, we're going to have open house all day. Well, pretty much most of the day, yes. All right, so we'll see you guys Monday. Just scan that one with your smartphone, get the QR code. Should have a good day. Hopefully we'll have a good day. We'll see what happens. All right, my SPY pivot this morning, 668.85 above it. I'm a bull, below it I'm a bear. SPY, QQQ, and GLD made new all-time highs. Diamond Dow and IWM made higher highs and higher lows, closing over their traps and over their 17s. FNGU made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a weak one candle 10-minute downtrend. Silver made a new 14-year high yet again yesterday. Gold made the new all-time high. USO made a lower low and a lower high, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. UNG now in an uptrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend. As investors, we like that. As consumers, it sucks. Closed near 97.89 area. That would be, still in a big bear flag down there. SPY max pain for today. That's for the options in SPY that expire today. 665 with a put to call ratio of about 1.9 put for each call that expires today at 4:15. Possible put squeeze, we'll see. 1.9 puts, that's double the ratio of, that's double the amount of calls just about. We've got options expire at 4:15, and you guys know the index options expire at 4:15. The security options expire at 4. Well, the main event was supposed to be the employment situation, which was supposed to happen today at 8:30. Okay, as long as the government shutdown did not delay the release of data. It appears as though we will not get the employment situation this morning at 8:30. Just FYI, that would be a market mover, by the way. So we'll see what happens here. All right, these are in bullish uptrends, bullish daily uptrends over the 17 EMA. These are in bullish daily downtrends that are under the 17 EMA. Now, the market is bullish. I'm not a big fan of going bearish, but if I wanted to be delta neutral, I would have, I would equal my portfolio out if I had $12,000 on long positions. I would want $12,000 on bearish positions, short positions. In other words, when the market goes up, the bulls would benefit. When the market comes down, the bears would benefit. All right, so that would be a delta neutral, having some on each side of the market, being equally hedged for any big disruptions. Okay, if they got a little star next to them and they're under the bulls, it means they're building out a launch pad from which to launch higher. In other words, they're building out a bull flag, and the next move up should be to the upside. So building out a bull flag. UNH, take a look at that one. That's looking like it's ready to pop up this morning. We'll see. It really looks primed to break out. It's up there for the third time at the same spot. So UNH looking fabulous this morning. Over here, if they got a little star next to them, they're building out a platform or a bear flag from which to dip lower. So SG, KDP, CRMD, BR, okay? They're all building out platforms from which to dip lower, okay? So that these 17-minute, daily uptrends over the 17, daily downtrends under the 17, okay? Just like to provide that for those that like to be delta neutral. Now, again, I'm not a big fan of going counter trend, but if I was, I would want something that's really weak. And these have been in daily downtrend, so that would be something I would look for. All right, let's take a look at the market this morning. Let's take a look at SPY, and let's pick up a clean chart. All right, and let's pick up the 10-minute, and here's our 10-minute. So we had a 10-minute downtrend right here yesterday, and we pulled back to the close of the previous day. You can see the close was right about there, okay? And the anchored VWAP from yesterday, not the close. So we pulled back to gap fill. So we bulls gapped up, bears closed the gap, and then we had VWAP, where VWAP left off yesterday, right here, okay? So you can see where it just starts to jump. So they came down here and tagged this spot right here, which happens to be support, and where VWAP left off the day before. Excuse me, I don't mean yesterday. I meant the day before. All right, they tagged this and then they bounced. And I had a strong suspicion price would bounce either on gap fill or this VWAP right here, right on that support area right there. So, and of course we did. So we traded. I did not trade the 10-minute downtrend. I did call it out for traders that want to. Again, I'm not a big fan of doing counter trend in a bullish market, especially when we got the 2-hour uptrend, the daily uptrend, the weekly uptrend, the monthly uptrend. So I was not interested in scalping it. Instead, I chose to accumulate shares on the dip as opposed to scalping it because the market was bullish. So then I traded back to the upside right here, and you can see price makes a higher low. And of course, in the pre-market, I don't know if you were up there early this morning, but you saw we were up here over to 670, way up here, making a higher high in the pre-market on SPY on the 10-minute. So we had a little 10-minute downtrend, which I chose not to trade, but I don't care if you want to trade it. It's counter trend, and it was a downtrend right there. We had a target, and I expected a bounce, and we got a bounce back up to here, up over VWAP. I did trade the 10-minute uptrend as it came up through VWAP up here, and it kind of bull flagged right there, so you can see overnight we bounced up there. So coming into the close, we got a weak 1 candle downtrend. That's all we got. Okay, so not very convincing inside of a bull flag. So that's kind of more bullish than it is bearish for me, anyways. So there's SPY on the 10-minute. On the 2-hour, you got the candlesticks on top of the 3 MAs on top of the 8. So we have, you can see the daylight between the 3 and the 8. So we have a 2-hour uptrend. Of course, you can see daylight between the 8 and the rising 17. Nice 2-hour uptrend happening right now. So my favorite trade, 10-minute uptrend over VWAP, inside 2-hour uptrend, inside of a daily uptrend that resides inside of a weekly uptrend, and that weekly uptrend resides inside of a monthly uptrend. That's my favorite trade. If I see that, I most definitely will trade it, especially in this market right here, right now. Okay, just want to say that is now, but I'm not opposed to trading other 10-minute uptrends, even if we don't have a 2-hour uptrend, but that is my favorite trade in the current environment. All right, so what we got here is price consolidating over the prior day's consolidation. Okay, you can see right here, consolidation, and then we've got consolidation over the prior consolidation. Now, in regards to the bounce, all right, I said for traders, we put the quad lines on it early in the morning. Try the quad lines one more time. All right, right here. Okay, so we came from this base down here, and we traded up to this high up here. And I said I wanted to see price remain in the upper third, right up there. Okay, so all of this represents the upper third, and I expected a bounce to occur right off of the bottom line of the upper third of the quadrant lines. And lo and behold, yes, we got the bounce. So I traded that 10-minute uptrend, ripping up through this area up over VWAP. Okay, so because when it's in the upper third, it's bullish. So hence, we're still acting bullish right now. Markets are still bullish. All right, so we got a 2-hour uptrend. We got the daily uptrend. Let's take a look at the daily chart. All right, on the daily chart, we've got, okay, making a brand new all-time high. Okay, doesn't get better than that. That's nice. All right, so it's obviously in an uptrend, and it's obviously bullish. I'll pan out. Okay, so that's bullish, top of quadrant 4. That's bullish, making new all-time highs, and in an uptrend. All right, see all the green dots? Right there. If you'd have bought when it says as a green dot, okay, and held on till, you get a series of red dots, really nice rip right up there. Okay, so there's SPY on the daily chart. That's bullish. Weekly chart. Okay, see all the green dots? New all-time high. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart. See all the green dots? Same deal. That's bullish and in an uptrend. So there's SPY. All right, let's take a look at QQQ. Oh, let's go back and look at the game plan. Got to see the game plan. All right, so on the game plan for SPY, again, SPY pivot this morning, 668.85. Green erase is red, over 669.70. Red erase is green, underneath 667.90. I like 7 days till expiration and 14 days till expiration Friday options. I like the Friday options. They got more open interest. I like them on the multiple of 5. They have more open interest on the multiple of 5 than the ones in between most of the time. I trade strikes $2 to $15 out of the money. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Now, I'm not a big fan of trading downtrends in the bullish market, but let me just say, if they do occur, sometimes I do trade them, all right? But I'm not a big fan of going counter trend right now. Usually not on the first pullback, all right? Second pullback, yes, or the second day of moving down or weakness. I'm not opposed to trading that. All right, so I like now if a 10-minute uptrend, okay, happens to manifest down here. Okay, long before the green erase is red up here, okay? I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle up there, okay? Same thing with downtrends. If a downtrend happened to manifest up here, again, I'm not a big fan of going counter trend, not in a bullish market, okay? On the second day, yes, I will probably participate in it. All right, if a 10-minute downtrend happens to manifest up here, okay, long before it gets to the red erases green entry down here, I'm not opposed to trading it as long as it breaks that bearish 10-minute rubber band candle to the downside. Okay, so just want to clear that up in case you see me trade something and you're wondering why I'm trading it, okay? And it's probably because it broke something that I thought was important, and therefore I'm going to take it to the downside right there. So there's SPY game plan. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, QQQ's got a game plan. Pivot 604.95. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Green erase is red. Entry over 606.20. Red erase is green. underneath 603.65. QQQ game plan. Again, I trade the same thing on as SPY. 7 days and 14 days till expiration. Friday options on the multiple of 5. They have more open interest. More open interest equals higher liquidity, so I like that. I like strikes with $2 to $15 out of the money. You're not going to get the performance as you would an in-the-money option, but you're not going to pay up as much per share on those, okay? You'll get much better performance than I will by trading out of the money options, but I'm taking on less risk, okay? It's easier for me when I'm training new people or helping out new clients or new members, okay, to take on less risk than it is to trade on something that is high performance and riskier, all right? So, and when I'm beginning and starting people out, I like to trade out of the money options for that reason. Less risk, all right? And with those small accounts, it's easier to acquire more than a couple contracts when they're out of the money as opposed to being in the money. You will pay up more for in the money option, but you'll get a better performance out of it than I will with my out of the money options. Now I trade, same thing. I trade 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I trade 10-minute downtrends under VWAP, okay? Again, if they happen, the uptrends happen to manifest long before the green erases red entry up here, okay? I'm not opposed to trading them, preferably as long as they break the bullish 10-minute rubber band candle, all right? Or I'm seeing an area where I'm expecting a bounce, all right? So there's, and again, on the 10-minute downtrends, I like the 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Now, I like uptrends and downtrends in both QQQ and SPY, and I like them when they're peeling away from VWAP, okay? So we traded this right here. See this 10-minute uptrend? I'm going to go to the 10-minute chart so you can see it. You can see the space between the 3 and the 8, okay? Right there, you got daylight between the 3 and the 8. I'm on the 10-minute chart, and you can see daylight between that 8 EMA, the 17 EMA, and the VWAP, which is this burnt brown line, okay? You see it when they're peeling up, and away from VWAP. Okay, that's the beautiful thing right there. When you see space getting larger and larger between your VWAP and your price candles, okay? That's where it's beautiful. When they're hugged up and snugged up right next to each other, it's nice, but it's not beautiful, all right? This is where big money can be made moving just like that, right in that 45-degree angle to the upside. See that slope? It's like a 45-degree angle. Right there. That's a beautiful thing. Seeing price rip away from VWAP. That kind of a separation provides for a nice profitable day like that. Little profitable right here. Another 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Another 10-minute uptrend over VWAP yesterday. Okay. Sometimes they're all day. Sometimes they're just a couple hours long. All right. So just sometimes a couple hours. Now today's Friday. Okay. No kidding, John. All right. So Fridays are notorious for them not moving the tape for the first hour and a half. All right. In other words, they're like playing football. They're running out the clock on those 0 DTE options. Okay. Then they make a move. All right. And then they pin it to that move for the rest of the day. All right. That's a typical move for Wall Street. All right. On a Friday. Okay. So I'm just preparing you. That may be what happens today. All right. Where you get nothing but slop and chop in the morning, all right, for an hour and a half, maybe up to 11:30, all right. Then they make a breakout, and then they, after the move gets to where they want it to be, then they pin it there, all right, so that they can take advantage of whatever max pain is or whatever put squeeze they want to take control of, all right. So that may be the case today, all right. We'll see, all right? But I'm just saying that's a typical move on Friday for Wall Street. So we'll see what happens. All right, back to the daily plan. All right, and let's take a look at IWM on the daily chart. Okay, IWM and Diamond down. All right, they got higher highs and higher lows, closing over bullish traps over their 17s. Again, up at the top of, or near the top of quadrant 4. I'll zoom out. Okay, so that's bullish and in an uptrend. Nothing broken there. Everything's working. All right, still bullish and in an uptrend. Diamond down. Okay, diamond down. Again, same thing. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over the rising 17. I'll pan out. Here's the April low. This is the big rally high. Top of quadrant 4. That's still bullish and in an uptrend. Okay, diamond down. Let's take a look at FNGU. Okay, now we watch FNGU. It's only got 10 products in it. But those 10 are some of the biggest heavyweights inside QQQ and SPY. Now, when they move as a pack, they can drag those indexes in whatever direction they're going, either up or down. Okay, when they move as a pack. FNGU, right here. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bearish trap over the rising 17. Now, I like this to be in an uptrend, and it still is, okay? But it's certainly not acting as bullish as this one, okay, right here. Okay, notice FNGU's down here, SPY's up here, okay, or this one. Okay, QQQ's up here, FNGU's down here, okay? I'm just saying, I like it when that's happening at the same time. Not sure why they can't get their act together and be up here or up here where the other two are. All right, but it's only got 10 products in it, and I guess somebody's not pulling their weight. That's all I can think. All right, so there's FNGU on the daily chart. I'll pan out. This is the April low. This is our big rally high. Still in the middle. All right, quadrant 4. So we're bullish. Still in an uptrend. Okay, I like it when they're leaning up against the top. This little pullback right here. So what they got is a little mini bear flag inside of, a bull flag right up here. All right, so right there, usually seeing a tail, not liking the wick right there. All right, so that's not a good sign when I see that wick. And look at the red. We went up there and they pushed it back down. So things aren't looking too good for FNGU right now. Okay, this could be a outlier that, SPY and QQQ may be heading for a pullback soon, which makes me want to go investigate, my 2-day volume zone oscillator. Okay, on the 2-day, still rip roaring. All right, so looking good so far on SPY. Usually when I get something that falls below this 9, we get a pullback right here, back to the 17, sometimes to the 8, get a pullback. But right now, on the 2-day, things are still looking good here, all right? So, kind of strange. FNGU really not performing all that well. And then we're going to go to T2123 here in just a second. And you can see that's kind of not doing the same thing either. So let's start with T2122. All right, and this is market participation. And you can see down here, this would be the COVID reversal, all right, out of last time we were down here. I'm going to go to the 3-day. Last time we were down, way down this low would be in $20.20 right here. Now look, they were in here twice. See that? I didn't pick that up. But they were in here twice, and that provided the COVID relief rally, okay? We had a COVID dip, and this was the COVID rally right there. Okay, and then we came back down to end the COVID rally. So this is where, see what month that is. That is 117. So that provided the COVID fall. That was the COVID fall. Okay, that's where price fell all the way up until about 317, and then it reversed. We'll have to take a look at that on the chart. All right, so this is market participation. All right, you can see price all the way down here on the 15-minute. Okay, so we're getting less and less participation day by day, which makes it easy for them to move it if there's nobody in front of them or no obstacles in front of them or nobody selling against them. So there's T2101, 15-minute. And again, we're losing more and more participation each day, but we still continue to rip new highs. All right, so let's take a look back here at SPY. And let's go back to the 3-day. Back to the COVID rally, which was 2020. Okay, so that was 220. This was the reversal, 325. Okay, so this was 117 right there. Okay, that's when price had reached a climax. All right, remember I put my cursor on it. 117, that was darn near a climax on 117, and you can see right there that was the peak before everything fell apart. Okay, to come all the way down here, and then on 3/20 we had our COVID rally began right there, COVID relief rally. Okay, so we're going to come back over to T2101, put it on the 2-day. Okay, and we'll come back to 2020. All right, so right here, that was 1129. This was 114, 117. Okay, so that was the high of the market before we had the COVID dip, and then came the COVID dip. You can see right there, 318, 325. Not long before that, not long after that, the market made a bottom and started moving upwards. All right, started moving upwards, so back down towards this area. All right, so here we are at the same spot, possibly going to make a high here soon. Okay, this is where the market reverses in this zone right here. You can see they hit it twice. Okay, they hit it on 11/25. That'd probably be close to a Good Friday or Black Friday. And right there, 116, 114, right there. And then we hit a high, and then from there, things fell apart. All right, that's when we had the COVID dip. All right, so there's T2101. All right, so we could see a reversal soon, but I'm looking at the VZO and I'm not seeing it yet. So maybe in a couple more days, we'll see what happens. So right now, we're still bullish. All right, T2122, we spent the day in the seller's chop zone. Just want to prepare you for the future in case we do get a big, a harsh pullback. All right, I want you prepared for it. It could be looming in the next 3 or 4 trading days. We'll see. All right. Seller's chop zone. We spent the day in the seller's chop zone, unable to make it into the bullish zone. Yet we made new all-time highs in QQQ and SPY. What's up with that? Okay. See, I'm saying there's something. Things are falling apart in some areas. Okay. Things are breaking down in some areas. We'll see what happens. Okay. So in the seller's chop zone, yet SPY QQQ making new all-time highs. Okay, that's something's up. FNGU not even making new all-time highs. All right, something's up. All right, things are being, I think they're being manipulated in the back, or they're being repositioned. They may be moving some products in SPY and out of SPY or whatever. Same with QQQ, and that could be the reason for these indexes hitting new all-time highs is they're reallocating. In other words, they might be giving more weight to some products, or they may be removing some products and adding new ones in, and that's what's causing these new all-time highs, because we're certainly not getting them, all right, in T2101, right? We're not getting them in T2101. We're not getting them in T2122. We're not up here in the overbought or even the buy zone, and we're not getting them in T2123. Okay, so behind the scenes, things are getting repositioned, and these are kind of like, I don't want to say it, I think they're kind of like false highs, because the only reason they're getting there, it's not because of performance of the products inside it, but it's a repositioning of the weight of the performance stocks inside it. Maybe the reposition of the weight, or maybe a repositioning of adding new products and eliminating some of the deadbeats that are inside these indexes. Okay, so it's very interesting to see that. All right, because like I said, T2123 not making new all-time highs. It's up there, yes it is. FNGU not making new all-time highs. All right, you can see T2101 showing weakness. All right, and T2122 certainly showing you're in the seller's chop zone as opposed to the buyer's chop zone, or even the buy zone, or even the overbought zone. Okay, so something's up, something's looming. We could see I'm just going to say it, we could see a hyperbolic candle to the upside, and then price comes down. All right, so be prepared for it today and all next week. All right, till we figure out what's going on. All right, so there's T2122. T2123 still haven't filled this bearish gap. All right, price action still in a bear flag, down and over to the right on the 15-minute chart. Still in a downtrend. See the low? We made a lower low. If they'd have taken out that high, they could have had an uptrend. They didn't get it done. So they're still in a downtrend. They're still underneath the 200 SMA. Not my favorite place to be. All right. On T2123. So this in a downtrend under the 200, still in a bear flag. Looking like another leg lower so far. We'll see. All right. That's T2123. 15-minute chart. Now we're going to look at the same product, a little bit different look, on the 3-bar chart. Okay, now I just want to say this. See all these red dots? If you'd have bought this when this turned green right here, I'm just saying, all right, and rode it up till it turned red, right there, and then sold it when it turned red, and then bought it again when it turned green, and then sold it when it turned red. Look at all the gains you would have made. I'm just saying, all right? There's a lot of gains right to be made right there. Okay? Notice we're turning red again. Okay? So this is price action. That's a bull flag. Okay? And we're up over the 200 SMA. I like that. We're up at the top of quadrant 4. So we're still bullish up here. Okay? And we're still in an uptrend. So things haven't fallen apart, but there's some little details showing up right now, okay? So we'll see what happens. It's a 3-bar chart right there. We're no longer making new all-time highs. It's been a while, okay? At least a week or so. FNGU, again, showing us a bear flag. Climbing on top of the 200 SMA, I like that. And they are still, yeah, they're in an uptrend because they made a higher high, okay? So they're in an uptrend, and they're over the 200 SMAs. So that's bullish and in an uptrend on the 15-minute chart, okay? Because they made a higher high. Here's a high. They made a higher high. They have not made a lower low, so they're bullish, and they're climbing on top of the 200. I like that a lot. All right. Let's take a look at the economic package, and let's wrap this up. And then we'll take a look at how we're going to trade this morning with everything that's going on. All right. Dollar. Okay. Came from this high down to this low. Okay. It's in a downtrend, in a bear flag. Looking for a move lower. We got a kind of a double bottom here. We got kind of a triple top up here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Still in the bear flag. Still showing weakness. We closed yesterday, top of that green body, 97.87 area. Okay. So still bearish and still in a downtrend right there. Okay. On the dollar. Economic calendar. Today was supposed to be the employment situation. That was delayed. Jobless claims were delayed. Factory orders were delayed. Construction spending was delayed. PMI composite final. I guess they're going to find that. 945, that comes out. ISM services index, that comes out at 10. And a rig count at 1. Okay, so all of this is delayed. And motor vehicle sales. So there'll be a lot of economic data released all at the same time, I guess, pretty soon. All right? Whenever they decide to release it or compile it or whatever's going on. Somebody's holding it somewhere in a manila envelope that's probably sealed. All right? And it says top secret on the top. All right, here's the earnings report. Earnings coming up. Financials going to be reporting probably in the middle of October here. Coming up, a new round of earnings coming up. Nothing but familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets here for today. That's it. All right, for Friday. SPY Max Pain 665. All right, and put to call ratio about almost 2 to 1. 1.9 puts to each call that expires today. All right, let's take a look at SPY. All right, because this is the most important. This is the power hour. This is the most important thing we need to focus on today. Okay, 10-minute chart. Let's get the one with the pre-market activity. Let's look at what happened. This is a bull flag. That's bullish. This is a bull flag. That's bullish. That sloppy consolidation, that was nice and tight right there until they broke out and then they said forget it. Okay, but this is consolidation over prior consolidation. That's still bullish. Okay, I'm going to go from this low up to this high. Okay, so you can see right here where my pivot is. That's the 50-yard line right there. If they break this right here, based on the move from yesterday, okay, if they get below this base right here, then they're probably coming down to check this breakup candle low. Okay, if they break below this candle here or this base, they're probably coming down to check out the breakup candle low down here. We'll see what happens. Okay, but if they break through that, I would expect a bounce probably in this area right here at the midpoint or at the pivot right on this base right here and probably bounce up high. I don't know how high they go. Probably maybe up to gap fill up there. We'll see. Of course, gap fill is not going to be too far away from here. So maybe up to yesterday's high, which would be 670.58. All right, so this range is kind of wide. You see how wide it is? It's see that 668.45, okay, and this is 671.50. Okay, so that's a $3 range. All right, if they break that range, I'll be interested in trading it. All right, but that's kind of too big for in the morning. All right, so I'm going to box off the first 15 minutes, all right, and trade the breakout of that range. All right, if the first 15 minutes they happen to break out of the range, tag gap fill right here, okay, expect a bounce back to the top of the opening range to test to see the highs. Okay, if they can't get through, they'll probably roll over, okay, and come down through the gap fill area. All right. I see 671.48 is a pre-market high on SPY. Yes. Close to it, I've got 671.50. We're close. All right. 2 pennies off right here. All right. So first 15 minutes, going to box it off and trade the breakout. Again, they're notorious, okay, on Friday for just providing chop for an hour and a half. Okay, so be careful this morning, okay? All right, same thing on QQQ. All right, traders, I'll see you guys in about 30, 40 minutes, and we'll reopen the markets here again today, see if we can make some more money again today. All right, again, those 10-minute uptrends over VWAP is what I'll be looking for. Just remember what they like to do on Friday. They like to move it and then pin it there for the rest of the day. So don't be surprised to see it just chomp around after they make their move. All right, so there's SPY. All right, I'll see everybody, all right, in about 30 minutes. Thank you.